The sky above Khareth burned red with the light of 2 suns. The land was cracked and littered with the remains of old machines, towering mechs, broken drones, and bones half buried in dust. I was one of the last humans stationed on this cursed planet, a medical engineer sent to treat wounded soldiers. They're soldiers, not ours. I was supposed to be neutral, a contractor for the Galactic Human Relief Corps. But neutrality was a fragile thing out here, in the border wars of alien empires. My name's Elias Marin. I'd been out here for 9 months, patching up anyone who came through my field tent, human or alien, as long as they weren't trying to kill me. Most of the soldiers I treated were from the Aethiri Dominion, tall, silver-skinned humanoids with fractal eyes and blood that shimmered like mercury. They were fierce, disciplined, and didn't trust humans much. I was just finishing up treating a plasma burn on a young Aethiri scout when I heard it, the low, rhythmic hum of engines. Not from a small patrol, this was something big. The scout's ears flicked back, his expression tightening. "The princess is coming," he said quietly. I frowned. "Princess? You mean like actual royalty?" He didn't answer, just adjusted his armor and ran toward the encampment center. My curiosity got the better of me, so I followed. The sound grew louder, the thundering of hovercraft engines and the march of metallic boots. Then, from the horizon, a formation appeared, armored soldiers in black and silver battle suits surrounding a tall, gleaming command transport. The craft landed with a hiss, kicking up red dust. The back ramp opened, and she stepped out. Even among the Aethiri, she looked different, taller, her armor inscribed with glowing runes, a symbol like a burning star etched across her chestplate. Her helmet's visor reflected the twin suns, and when she removed it, her face was ethereal. Angular features, pale skin marked with faint blue veins, and eyes like liquid light. The soldiers bowed instantly. "Princess Khalira of House Sereth," one of them announced. I just stood there, stunned. Royalty in a war zone. That never ended well. Middle, a human's touch. Hours later, the camp erupted with chaos. The Aethiri command had been ambushed on their way to the forward front, and Khalira herself had led a counterstrike to hold the line. I'd been ordered to stay back, but when the wounded began flooding in, my medbay became a storm of panic and blood. The air smelled of ozone and scorched armor. I worked until my hand shook, sealing wounds, patching burns, injecting nanogel. Then, in the middle of it all, a soldier stumbled through the tent flap carrying a limp figure. "Medic." "The princess, she's down." I froze. Khalira was barely conscious, her armor cracked open, shimmering blood leaking through. Her breathing was ragged. I shouted for the stabilizer field and cleared the table. "Set her down now." The soldier obeyed, trembling. I pulled the med scanner over her body. Her vitals were collapsing, heart rate unstable, blood pressure dropping fast. Her armor's energy matrix had overloaded, sending feedback straight through her nervous system. "She needs a neural resync," I muttered, grabbing my toolkit. "If I don't calibrate the flux in 5 minutes, she'll..." "She can't be touched," the guard barked. "She's of royal." I ignored him. "She'll die if I don't." The guard hesitated. Then, with visible pain, he stepped back. Her armor hissed as I released the clamps and removed the upper plating. Beneath it, her form was slender, lined with faint silver tracery, biocircuitry running beneath her skin. Her pulse flickered erratically. I took a deep breath and placed the neural stabilizer patch at the base of her neck. Her body spasmed, and she gasped sharply. "Stay with me, Khalira," I said softly. "Don't let the darkness take you." Her eyes fluttered open, glowing faintly and focused on me. She tried to speak, but no sound came out. I adjusted the frequency. Her voice finally emerged, faint but clear. A human? Yeah, I said. Name's Elias. You're gonna be fine. She blinked slowly, like she was processing something ancient and confusing. Your kind doesn't bow. I don't have time to, I muttered, wiping blood from her chest plate. I've got too many patients. A faint, pained smile tugged at her lips, the first I'd seen from any Athiri. Then, as I finished sealing her armor, her hand twitched. She gripped my wrist, weakly, but enough to make me stop. Thank you, she whispered. Then she passed out. The day after, the armor and the secret. When dawn came, I found her sitting outside the tent, armor repaired, face calm. The soldiers kept a respectful distance, their heads slightly bowed. You should still be resting, I said, stepping out with a medkit. Her gaze flicked toward me. And you should be gone, she replied, her tone formal but not cold. No human should have touched me. Then you'd be dead, I said flatly. You're welcome. That earned me a surprised glance and another hint of a smile. You're brave, she said after a pause. Or foolish. Maybe both. I sat beside her, watching the twin suns rise. For a long while, neither of us spoke. Then she said quietly, You know, no one has ever laid a hand on me without kneeling first. I chuckled softly. Guess I'm setting new records today. That's when the alarm went off, a sharp, vibrating tone that cut through the morning air. Scouts shouted in Athiri, weapons drawn. Khalira stood instantly, drawing her blade, a curved weapon humming with plasma light. What is it? I asked. She turned toward the ridgeline. Revenant forces. They tracked us. Before I could react, the horizon erupted in plasma fire. The Revenants, Athiri traders armed with corrupted tech, stormed down the slope. Energy bolts tore through the camp, soldiers scattering for cover. Get to safety, Khalira ordered me. Not happening, I snapped, grabbing a fallen rifle. You still owe me a follow-up exam. For a heartbeat, she looked like she wanted to argue. Then, with a smirk, she said, Stay close. The battle, where titles mean nothing. The battlefield exploded into chaos. Plasma blasts lit the sky like lightning. Khalira moved like a storm, her blade singing as it cleaved through Revenant armor. I stayed behind cover, patching the wounded between bursts of fire. Then I saw her fall. A blast struck her square in the chest. She stumbled, armor cracking again. The Revenant commander raised his rifle for a killing shot, and I didn't think. I ran. The world narrowed to that single moment, the sound of my boots on the dirt, her eyes widening in surprise. I dove forward, catching her as she collapsed. My arm burned as a stray plasma bolt grazed it, but I ignored the pain. I helped her up, gripping her armored arm. I've got you. Her breathing was ragged, eyes flickering between disbelief and fury. You shouldn't. Save it, I said, hoisting her weight. Let's move. I dragged her behind a wrecked carrier, shielding her from the barrage. Her soldiers saw it happen, saw me, a human, helping their princess stand again. And then something unbelievable happened. Every Athiri soldier, every guard, stopped fighting. For a single, frozen heartbeat, they dropped to one knee. Not to Khalira. To me. Because I was the one holding her up, the one who defied death and tradition to save their royal blood. The Revenants hesitated, thrown off by the sight. Khalira looked around, dazed, then turned her gaze on me. Elias, she whispered. They kneel to you. Yeah, I muttered, glancing around. Not sure how I feel about that. She laughed weakly, a sound like silver bells through static. Then command them. What? Command them, she repeated, eyes burning bright again. They will follow the one who saved their crown. I looked out over the battlefield, hundreds of soldiers watching me, waiting. And I realized she was right. This wasn't about rank or race anymore. This was survival. I raised my voice. Athiri, hold the line. Their reply was deafening. For Khalera, they shouted. For the healer. The tide turned. Plasma fire roared. Khalera rose beside me, blade ignited, and we fought as one. Human and alien, side by side, pushing the revenants back until the last of them fell. Ending the bow and the promise. When the smoke cleared, the field was silent. The Athiri soldiers began tending to their fallen. Khalera stood beside me, her armor blackened but her head held high. You disobeyed every order I gave, she said quietly. Yeah, I replied, breathing hard. You're welcome again. She smiled faintly, then turned toward her troops. They were kneeling, every one of them. But this time, it wasn't to her alone. She looked at me, eyes shining. You've changed something today, Elias Marin. You've made history. I'm just a medic, I said. No, she said softly. You're the first human in our history to be bowed to. The words hit me harder than any explosion. The weight of what had just happened. Two species, two enemies, now bound by shared respect, felt surreal. Khalera extended her hand. Come with me to Khareth Prime. My father must meet the man who saved his daughter. I hesitated, looking around at the devastation. I don't think your father's gonna like a human walking into his throne room. Her lips curved into that same, disarming smile. Then he'll just have to kneel too. For the first time in months, I laughed, really laughed. The sound echoed across the field as the suns began to set, casting the broken world in gold. Epilogue. Weeks later, I found myself aboard an Athiri starship, heading toward the capital. The soldiers still saluted when they saw me, not out of duty, but respect. Khalera often teased me about it. You could have been executed for touching me, she said once, smirking. Yeah, I replied, smiling back. Worth it. Her laughter filled the air, soft and genuine. And somewhere deep down, I realized something, that maybe in a galaxy divided by species, power, and fear, it only took one human hand to remind them all what unity looked like.